What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at Warbotron's Whirlwind, otherwise known as Vortex, and this is the last limb we need to make the combiner mode for Onslaught by Warbotron here. And you can see he is kind of like a Apache type helicopter, not quite, it's a little bit different. Yeah, he's not bad, he looks the part of a helicopter. This could have been executed a little bit better somehow. The tail rotor could have looked nicer, but it's not horrible. I have seen people kind of say he doesn't really, the propellers don't work well. If you spin it too fast and this whole thing wobbles, it doesn't work well. But if you kind of just go slow, it works most of the time. That said, I don't really take my helicopters around the house like that, so not a big deal. The cockpit does open here, revealing some detail, but really not that much. I'm sure repro labels will make something there which will be incredibly difficult to put on. And yeah, inside the box you get a little bag with a ratchet piece. If anyone knows where that goes, because the instructions don't seem to say, let me know. You also get these little yellow pieces, and these don't really have a place in the vehicle mode. I mean, I suppose you can peg them on here, but what they're intended to do is kind of give you things to do with these blades here. My good buddy Skullface mentioned this, which is something that I wouldn't have noticed if he didn't say it. You can actually take these panels off this gun, and I don't know if these are just like access panels or what, but if you really want to, you can kind of take these things and kind of fit them in here, and the panels will actually stick out a little bit, but not too bad. There's the panel with the thing inside, and you can see it's slightly more recessed here, but that is a place you can put these if you don't want to lose them. So that is totally an option. Whether that's intended or not, I am not really sure. The landing gear on this guy is kind of pathetic, because if you put it all the way down, he looks goofy. So you just kind of fold it only slightly down like this, and he sits fine until you actually put a little bit of pressure on the front of it. But it works, and he's got the little knee landing gears. So I always forget to take these and put them away, so let's put them away right now. So the one other thing I wanted to mention is these guns. They're one of my favorite things, and they're one of my least favorite things. They just peg into these little flaps here, and they feel like they peg really nice. And you get them in there, and then you'll be moving something around or picking them up, and one of them always seems to fall off. Right now, of course, it's on camera, so things are holding strong. You can take these guns off, and I took this one off specifically to show you I have never taken the peg that's in this gun to turn it into a gun out, and that's the stress mark that came from with the factory. So Warbotron's kind of like the stress mark kings, it feels like, anymore. And you can see here, the way this handle's recessed, there's like a little tiny thing that you can kind of get a little movement on, then you have to jam something underneath, and there you go, you'll have your pistol for later use. So enough about the helicopter mode. Let's actually get this guy transformed to his robot mode. I'm going to take these blades off. You don't really have to, but I just don't want them in the way, and you can see each one of them is a sword. So this guy cheats a little bit, and I've taken these guns off too because I don't want to drop them. So this guy cheats a little bit that the front of the helicopter is actually this gun piece, and you can do various things with it. You can use it just like this. But the easiest way I found to use it is to kind of grab this gray piece and flip it around, and you got that longer handle here. You don't need to use the longer handle. If you want to put it as like an arm blaster, you can use the short one, but this makes it easier to actually use as a gun. And the one thing that kind of strikes me as interesting about this gun, I don't know if it was intended that way, but the way the actual landing gear works reminds me of like the AK-47 or the Mosin Nagant, the Russian style sight system, where the further away you go, you kind of gauge it off of this thing, and that's how you aim. And one other thing to note, that is some really nice weathering they've done here to actually make it look like a used gun. That's something I don't think they've done for any of their other releases, so it's really interesting that they went ahead and did it here. I guess Vortex uses less paint, I don't know. But really cool nonetheless, I like that. So once we've got all the rotors and everything off, we're left with essentially this. And transforming this to the robot is really not all that difficult. So we're going to start by taking out the arms here. And they're on these little swivels here. And you got this tiny little panel. Make sure that you kind of grip it towards the bottom when you're applying pressure, because it is very thin and it seems very easily broken. It was pretty scary how tight it was the first time I transformed it. But there we go, we've got one arm. We'll take that, flip his fist out, close this panel all the way down, and there we go, we got his second arm. Now we're going to come to his legs here, and you'll see we have to split these apart like this, and we can take these cover pieces and, whoops, forgot to untab them from the top of the helicopter. That certainly helps them fold on down like this. Now we're going to take these little circles, kind of bring them to the side, and then bring the feet back to the way they were, like so. And we can flip out the little heel spur, and on the front, flip out his little feet like this. So there you go, we got the feet done. If you haven't done so already, take your rotor blades and kind of fold them up, and the back end of the blade actually faces front, so you can peg that right back in here. And you don't have to, you can totally transform this guy without taking them off, but for the sake of those pegs that I showed you, I like to take them off. I just think the whole thing is a little bit easier. So there we go. Now we got to come to the top here, disconnect the cockpit from the front here, and this part can be a little tricky because it doesn't feel like it wants to give, because something in here locks in. So you gotta have to give it a little bit of force and it should pop apart. I think it's this inner tab here locks on to here. So once you have that forward, it'll be like that. We'll take the cockpit, we'll swing it on down, we'll raise the camera so you can see everything here. Take these and you kind of pull this top piece out of this little shoulder channels here, and it should eventually start to move around. From here we can close the back, drop this on the swivel down, and you'll see you do have a tab hole here and the tab. Just plug that on in, and it's pretty solid once we do that. And then all we have to do from here is take his head and flip it around. So that is our Whirlwind in his robot mode. Pretty easy, just like the rest of the Warbotron members. You know, I like their engineering. It's as complex as it really needs to be. So let's talk articulation before we add everything back, just because adding things makes articulation tough. Head is on a ball joint, not too much downward, but very good. Awesome light piping, love that. 360 here, 360 in and out. The swivel just above the elbow, the 90 degrees at the elbow, the rotation of the wrist both around and up and down for transformation, a decent waist joint, legs that are not ratcheted or anything, but they serve their purpose. In and out. Actually, front and back is ratcheted. It's only the side to side that is not. Thigh swivel, and the leg, the knee, the leg articulation. Down here we do have the ball jointed front of the foot and just a swivel rear of the foot with this little pivot. So plenty of articulation options here. So I gotta say, arming this guy up, he does look very menacing. That said, this gun in his hand is not necessarily my favorite thing. He doesn't really hold it very well, either of the pegs. And the way his arm is shaped, and this back piece is shaped, stuff is in the way. If you want to use it, I find it's usually easiest to just kind of peg it on his arm like that. I think that tends to be the most effective. It just doesn't look the best to me, particularly, I guess. Of course, you can take these, and if we were to flip these on out again, special pencil tool, there we go. you could take these and put them right on his wrists. I do think that actually looks pretty good. That may actually be preferable to this, but then you got these little black pieces here, so yeah, I don't really need those hanging around. So he'll probably just stay on his shoulders, and we'll use the big gun as a wrist thing. So let's show these swords. Of course, can come off if you want to, and he can hold them just fine as individual swords. Or you can actually do some interesting things with the swords if you feel compelled. You take these little yellow pieces here, and what you can do is you can plug them in to the side like so to kind of make that that trademarked weapon on the sides here. You could make him hold it. It'd be a little bit questionable, but based on the way his articulation works, you can kind of make it happen. So he's kind of got more of a Darth Maul thing kind of going on. Again, not the best holding of this thing, but doable. The final thing you can do with this is actually take these out like this, and you can take these little like peg type things and put them in. They're 5mm too. And you can kind of, whoops, we gotta arrange it so there's a peg so we can peg it on, right? Take this and you can peg it right on his arm to give him like giant Wolverine claws. Well, sort of Wolverine claws since there's only two. Personally, for what it's worth, I'm just gonna end up leaving these on his back and pegging this on the side just so I have everything there. Which means that these little yellow pieces are either going to be stored in here or back in the box. So before we go back to his vehicle mode, let's put in the other members of his team. Here we have Swindle, looking good, Brawl, and of course the very first one released, Blast Off. And I can't really express how excited this group makes me. They are all extremely good toys, albeit stress magnets. Yeah, I am super excited for Onslaught. I don't think I've been this excited for a last member of a combiner team since probably Hercules, to be honest. I mean, we kind of expected what we were getting with Superion, and we're excited to put it together, but I am genuinely excited to see how Onslaught really turns out. I've seen pictures, he just seems like he's shaping up amazingly. And this is just one of the coolest sets of robots that I've got in my house right now. So yeah, if you guys want to stick around and see the transformation back to helicopter, we'll hit that next. If not, I'll see you guys next week. Alright, so let's get this guy back to his robot mode. I'm going to start by taking these tail fin pieces off. Again, personal preference, you don't have to. I just want to keep them from breaking. We'll go ahead and I'm actually going to put the tail fin back together just like this. You got those 1, 2, 3 pegs. Get them in position and squeeze it all together just like that. And make sure that this is folded all the way forward like so. And I will leave these on just to show you it can be done with them on and these guns on too. It doesn't really matter. I'm not sure if you have to rotate the head backwards. I just choose to do that. So you can if you want. You certainly don't have to. The choice is really yours. So we'll take this and we'll fold it up in capturing his head here and plug those tabs on the side into the ones formed in his shoulders. And make sure his head is straight in there. And then take the cockpit piece and it tabs into the top here. Just like so. It's not a super strong tab. It's more kind of like just placement tab, I suppose. We'll take the lower part of his body and we'll fold it on back like so. And something's not sitting right here. There we go. This piece here didn't collapse all the way down, so this wasn't tabbing in quite like it should. There we go. That's better. Now we can take this, kind of get this up and out of the way. We'll take these pieces, fold them all the way forward, like so. we'll take the little circles, bring them to the top, and bring the black foot back to its original position. Fold this up like that, bring it back, tab his legs in together, tab this, well, it doesn't really tab, just kind of close it together, and then bring this down, and now this will lock in place if we can get it on in. There we go. So there's the back part of the helicopter. We'll take these and just make sure our little pegs here out of the way properly, and just kind of push them on in to form that back rotor. Coming to the arms here, only part that I think is a little bit tricky. They seem to get easier over time, but up at the right underneath the shoulder, you're gonna flip this joint, not actually the shoulder, so it goes 90 degrees from its original position. Now we're going to carefully, I can't stress that enough, open this panel and put his hand back in. Leave that panel flush to make like a little wing here. Again, carefully open that up, flip this closed, leave that flush. And then what we're going to do with this is now take this assembly and fold it on in. And you see you got the little tabs here, and the front one's going to go into that little space right there, and the back one just kind of closes in behind the back end here to kind of seal it on up. So do that again, and there we go. The last thing to do until he's complete, take this and get it around here and just plug it straight on up. And there we go. Vortex is back in his helicopter mode. Nice and easy, just like Warbotron tends to do. I can't give this guy high enough praises. I really enjoy this guy and the whole team. So if you're on the fence, yeah, this guy's a definite purchase. So this is T2RX6. I'll see you guys later.